chapter 65, there are two ideas that are presented, actually three. The first one is the idea of judgment. God looks upon the world, really, but in particular his people, and how they weren't faithful to him and people were rejecting him. But then there is this promise that God is going to redeem some people. For those who rejected him, they were rejecting him because, verse 2, they were rebellious. Verse 3, they provoked him. They sacrificed in gardens, which spoke of the idea of idolatry. They ate pig's flesh, which spoke of the fact that they were unclean. But despite this, there would be a time when God would save and bless his chosen. Verse 9, we are told, I will bring forth offspring from Jacob and from Judah, possessors of my mountains. My chosen shall possess it, and my servant shall dwell there. So the ones chosen by God are the ones who are going to be faithful to him and the ones who are going to serve him. And then the chapter ends by introducing a really new idea in really the Old Testament, that there is this new creation that's coming. Beginning in verse 17, for behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former things shall not be remembered or come into mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem to be a joy, and her people to be gladness. I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and I will be glad in my people. And then jumping down to verse 23, they shall not labor in vain, or bear children for calamity. For they shall be the offspring of the blessed of the Lord, and their descendants with them. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb will graze together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox, and dust shall be the serpent's food. They shall not hurt or destroy in my holy mountain. In chapter 2, he spoke of the idea of the holy mountain, all nations coming up. But here he speaks of it as a new creation, a complete reordering of everything, and a hope for Israel, and really all of mankind. Guys, what do y'all have here?
Well, I wanted to notice verse 1, what God says. I was ready to be sought by those who did not ask for me. I was ready to be found by those who did not seek me. I said, here I am, to a nation that was not called by my name. What God says here is really powerful. He was ready. He was ready to be sought. He was ready to be found by those who didn't ask for him and those who weren't seeking him. God was ready to be found by those people. In fact, in verse 2, those people were rebellious people, and he still had his hands out to them. I think that's a really important point. God has always been ready for those who will just seek him, even before they begin seeking him. He's done that for us, and he does that for all the lost. Our job is to teach people about that, to tell people God is waiting for you. God is ready, even though you're not looking for him. Seek and you will find. That's the God that we see here.
Amen. I want to look at a phrase found in verse 10. It's a beautiful phrase, and it says, in the valley of Achor, a resting place for my herds. That's an image that has been used elsewhere in the prophets. In Hosea chapter 2 and verse 15, God says, I will turn the valley Achor into a door of hope. And it pulls from Israel's history. The valley of Achor is the place where God executed Achan. After God's defeat of Ai, and after he told them to give everything to the band, and Achan rebelled against that, God executed them. But what God's saying here is the idea, he takes that place of destruction and turns it into a place of beauty. A place that was formerly where people rebelled and God executed his wrath is a place for resting of herds. And who does that change take place? For those who seek him. God is to take that which is tumultuous and difficulty and under his wrath and turn it into a place of peace for those who choose to seek him, as Austin pointed out. I think it's just a beautiful picture you find in the prophets.
Yeah, very good. All right, I hope that helps you today, give you something good to think about from the book of Isaiah. We're going to finish up the book of Isaiah tomorrow, Isaiah chapter 66, and then we'll move into the New Testament beginning on Wednesday. Thanks a lot so much for joining us. Have a wonderful